Amongst the things that you should never experience in the UK or anywhere abroad is being interrogated, detained, or arrested by the police. Their presence, their packaging, their calmness will definitely intimidate you. They are not like my beloved country's police force. These ones will be so calm with you, you would not even know when you start saying, things that you shouldn't say. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is the Olajumoke Gbolao. If this is your first time on my channel, I like to say warm welcome to you. If this is not your first time, you've liked, you've shared, you've subscribed, you've smashed the notification button, guys, you're the real deal. Thank you so very much. Well, I want to share my story with you, my encounter with the police, because I believe that is going to save somebody, whether you're planning to come, you're new in the UK or anywhere abroad. I know this will definitely help you. On this particular day, 21st of December to be precise, because it's a date I will not forget in a hurry, I, got back home from my night shift, and then I had a little bit of rest. My second daughter's birthday was in January, and I've been trying to search for a lovely dress for her birthday and all of those things, for a photo shoot and all of those things. But I haven't gotten anything really nice or really catchy. And, I mentioned it to my sister, and she said she was going to go take me to some places for me to go check in those places. Anyway, before then, my husband told me that I shouldn't bother going out. I should just rest, that on when he's free, we're going to all go together and all that. Knowing the kind of person my husband is, that he won't be patient enough, for the outing, selecting and checking here, checking there, I decided to just go on my own and go sort it out. You know how it is when have something so heavy on your mind you want to get out of the way. That's exactly what it is. So in long and short of it was that I disobeyed. And I got myself in a pot of soup. So I picked up the kids were home already on holiday by that time. So we all decided to go together. I was to pick my sister up, and then we left the house, and then we went to my sister's place. When we got there, we had a regular chit chat, and then she got into the car, and then we headed straight to where she was taking me to. Note that I'd never been to this place before, or neither do I really understand the route to get in there. And like I told you in my previous video, that Google Map and I are not we're not intimate, we're not 5 and 6, So when we were going, and then I used my map, I realized that the map was telling me to turn in a particular place that I wasn't comfortable with. It didn't look like it was proper for me to turn in that place. And that's the way the roads are here. The roads are unbelievable. You see different curves and turns here and there, very different from what I'm used to. So I didn't feel it was right, that's why the map telling me to turn there. So I didn't. I went straight on ahead. Like, how the map will give you different directions, when you miss a particular way. And so we went ahead to the next one. I still didn't feel it was right to turn there. And then I went straight on ahead till when it was a proper, junction where you saw the traffic light saying go this way. And then we started to go on that route. Along the line on our way there, I looked up when we were stopped by another traffic light. I looked up and I saw that a police car was behind me. I didn't think much of it, because back from where in Birmingham, I'd never had any issue with any police or anything. So I felt that place is even bigger and, and all of those things. So I didn't think much of it. While we were still trying to figure out our way, my son, who sat in the middle at the back, was trying to lean forward to see what the map was saying. He was actually helping me alongside, trying to find my way. So he was leaning forward at some point. And then we kept on going, and I still noticed that the car was still behind me. And then I looked, I'm like, this police van should just go his own. Why is it like he's following me? I just said it casually. Not until we got to a free road, and then I heard the police, siren. And then I looked into the mirror again, and I'm like, it looks like he's for us. at that moment, I didn't know what I had done wrong. Like, is it because I hesitated at some places? You know, I didn't know what it was that was wrong. As I looked into the mirror and I looked back, I just told, and then he made a sign to me to park. Ha. My heart skipped several beats. I'm like, what have I done? And then I just looked back and I saw the kids and I saw that they were not with their seatbelts. I just told them, guys, use your seatbelt, use your seatbelt. Unfortunately for us, while the kids were still trying to, you know, drag the belts, the policeman was by my window and he said, hello, ma'am, please, can you just step out? I'm like, step out? It's not even something you want to tell me. I have to step out. That's how I stepped out. So apparently he got to me just at the point the kids were still struggling to drag their seatbelts. You know, it was more like something you were caught in the act. And then the kids just busted into laughter like caught red-handed. Anyway, at this time, I still didn't know what I had done wrong. You know, and I stepped out. And he led me into their car, into his car, the police car. And then he opened the back seat for me to go in, please. And then I sat down and he too went in. He sat in the front. And the first thing he did was to play me a video that he's recorded of us since he's been behind us, telling me that my kids did not use their seatbelts. And according to UK law, you as the driver of any vehicle, you are responsible for any child or children below the age of 14 or 13, you know, using their seatbelts. Even if their parents were there, you will be held responsible as the driver of the vehicle. And so he asked me, what's my name? No, he didn't even ask me my name. Apparently, he already put in my car plate number in their system and everything about me already just popped up. I think the only thing he asked was my date of birth or something. Everything popped up. So I was looking at it right in the screen, you know, right in the car, on the screen in the car, you know. And then he said, so I have a provisional license, this, that. He started telling me, asking me questions though, more like wanting to see if I was going to lie about any of the information that were before him. And then I just sat there. He said, so you have committed an offense, this, that. And then we talked and we got to the point of, I have my provisional license. Why, you know, I'm not supposed to be driving with my international driver's license. And it was at that point, thank God, I knew my rights in that regard, because I started to tell him, no, my international driver's license isn't expired, you know, it's still valid and I am allowed to drive it with it, you know, and all of those things. And he kept saying, no, my provisional license, the UK provisional license, driver's license supersedes my international license. And I'm like, no, it was my previous employer that told me to get the provisional license. I didn't even know why they asked me to get it. I just started to talk calmly because the guy was very calm with me. But at this point, I felt I needed to just stand up or defend myself, that I am not wrong in this regard. When the policeman saw that I wasn't backing down on what I believed, he picked up his phone and he called the colleague, you know, to confirm if the UK provisional driver's license supersedes my international license or not. I didn't quite hear what the person on the other side of the phone said, but when he dropped, he said, okay, so you are okay with driving with your international driver's license? And I was like, okay. Because if not, that would have been another offense entirely. Like, I would have just been sinking deep into my offenses and my records, criminal offense, whatever, you know. So I stayed in his car for over 25 minutes. He kept on interrogating me. He kept on talking. He kept on saying this. And, you know, at a point, I felt I should still say something, possibly my Nigerian, you know, mentality, possibly beg. And let me just put this out there, that since I got into the UK, despite the fact that when I was in Birmingham, I didn't really go out much with the kids, but the kids had never used their seatbelts. And this is a culture that had imbibed from Nigeria. Yes, I know that the drivers and the passengers, side seats, you have to use your seatbelt, but the kids, possibly because the distances between my house back home and the kids' school and everywhere was so close, it's not up to 20 minutes, They just have never used their seatbelts back at home. And since we got here too, the kids have never had to use their seatbelt. It was just instinct that told me, when the guy told me to park, to tell them to use their seatbelt. It wasn't something like I knew, or I was pre-warned, or I was told, or... there are just some things that are just oversight. You just don't think much about them, So he said, do I have anything to say? Because anything I say, would be used in the courts. I'm like, I'm even going to court. My instinct was to beg and beg the way we would do in Nigeria, to beg the policeman and all of that, and plead, because I wanted to ask, okay, so now that I've committed an offense, you've made it clear that I agree. What's the consequence? Am I going, what will happen to me? What are my chances? I wanted to but I just felt this one, there's no going back about it. So I just felt there's no need saying anything anymore. And I decided to just leave it. And he said, if you don't have any other thing, and then he printed out one long paper for me. I'm like, what's this, receipt of offense or what? Anyway, he printed out one long paper right there in his car, printed it for me, and then gave it to me, that I should expect to hear from them. He came down from the car. He came to open the door of the car for me again and followed me back to my car. He said he wanted to see my international driver's license. Luckily for me, I had it with me, because if I didn't have it with me, they would give you usually 7 days for you to present it in their office. Heaven knows I would rather not be in their office. And then my sister was saying, if not for my kids, that possibly they would have put handcuffs in my hands. I'm like, handcuff care. And honestly, I've had the experience of a friend who was just driving on her own, and she was stopped. Before you know it, she was arrested. She was taken to the police custody. She was detained. They had to take her urine. They had to put stuff in her mouth to check if she was on drugs. Beloved, if you're a new immigrant or you are planning to come to the UK or anywhere abroad, please start learning to use your seatbelt, and for your children. I learned this lesson, and everyone close to me, even though I didn't tell them what had happened because I was still in shock. I just kept telling them, if you guys are going out, do your children use seatbelt? I said, please let them start. I started to preach the gospel of make sure your children are using their seatbelt. Apparently, I'm not the only one who is a new immigrant whose kids have not been using their seatbelts. It's just the culture we've all carried from, way back, and now we know better to do better. And December went, the whole of January went. I kept checking the mails, whether I've got a mail from the police or not, whether they, and at a point I started to confess as a woman of faith that this one, I am discharged and acquitted. I am free of every offense. I started to confess it, because my siblings kept asking me, have you got a mail from me? I was like, no, I've been discharged and acquitted. God has paid the price for me. And all of those things. I kept saying them. And just last week, guys, since 21st of December, just last week, the letter came. And I had 3 options. Go to court, pay £100 fine, or pay 52 or 58 pounds and do a course on seatbelt safety. Yours truly chose to do a course. No knowledge is lost, and pay lesser pounds. These pounds are not even easy to come by anyway. So I did the course, and after being successful. I did it like a test. You know, a mail came to say that I no longer have any business with that. I'm done and all of those things. And so I'm hereby free of all charges. And ever since that day, there's nowhere that we are going to with the kids that right from the house they have used their seatbelts. Such things would never happen again. And this is to everyone out there. Whether you are even still back in your own country, start to imbibe the culture of your kids using seatbelts. Guys, this is my story of how I was interrogated and detained. I don't know if to say arrested because the handcuffs were not there, you know, by the UK police. And I don't wish for anyone else to experience this. And, you know, that's why I'm coming out to say this. Anyway, please like, share, subscribe, comment. If you've had this kind of experience or you've had similar experience, no matter, even if it's not in the UK, and please smash the notification button so that when I post my next video, you will be the first to know. Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this video. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.